Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. Anybody notice this time of year things kind of start ramping up and you start getting a little bit busier and busier and busier with the holidays? Anybody here having that kind of an experience? Yeah. Everyone's kind of going, yeah, I kind of get that. So anytime I get ready to prepare for these messages, I'm always, and I say this often, but it's true, it just blows me away the way that Spirit works, right? And this way that Spirit comes through me. Because I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm going to be giving a traditional Thanksgiving message, which is, like, there's really a lot of things to be thankful for, right? I mean, we're all sitting in this room, that's enough to be thankful for. We've all got clothes, because not everybody has clothes, that's enough to be thankful for. We probably have eaten this morning, that's enough to be thankful for. So I'm sitting there preparing for this message, and I'm thinking it's going to be pretty traditional, right? And so the other week, Charles and I went and saw Dick and Betty Amons. And by the way, for those of you that were wondering, Dick is doing great, actually. He's doing fantastic. And we dropped them off, and I dropped Charles off, and I went back to my house, and all of a sudden I look down and I see this text message. And I'm going to read it to you. So this text message says, "Hey, random text, but I graduate in 33 days and just wanted to say thank you for your role in this school journey. Thank you for nagging me about applying, LOL. Who knows for sure if I would have ever gone at a later time, but I do know that you helped make sure that I went back to school when I did. I am definitely living the school hell that I watched you go through, but actually this feels pretty awesome to be almost done. Thanks for your support and encouragement back in the day. You made a difference in my life, and I just wanted you to know that." So Sarah, this friend, I worked with her about 10 years ago. She was a single mom, and she was struggling with life. And at the time, I was going back to school to get my bachelor's degree after about a 30-year hiatus. And it was a lot of work, and she saw me going through all that, but I kept just suggesting with her. I worked with her for about 6 years, and I would see her, and I would talk to her, and I said, you should go get your degree, you should go get your degree, you should go get your degree. And every 6 months or so, I would just go, so did you apply? Did you apply? Did you apply? And, always, well, there was this going on or that going on, and she would always say something came up. But I just kept nudging her. And just before the time that we quit working together, she started, about a year left, she started going back to school. And she's been going back to school now for about 3 years. And what she's graduating is she's getting her master's degree in accounting, and she's going to become a CPA. And that's what's happening now. And so when you look at that, when that happened, and she said, you made a difference in my life, honestly, it was something where it kind of took my breath away. Like, I'm reading this thing going, you made a difference in my life. And I was like, wow, really? Because we don't always think that way, right? It's not like, look, we have our lives, we have our families, we have things that we do, we have our careers, we have all the stuff that's going on. And the thing that it made me just stop and realize is you're making a difference in people's lives. You're making a difference, right? And so I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then all of a sudden I get these, I sign up for daily emails and all these motivational messages and everything, right? A few of you people do that stuff as well, yeah? So this one happens to come across my desk at about the same time. And it's from Abraham Hicks, and it says, the key to getting inside your vibrational vortex of creation, of experience, the absolute absence of resistance, of achieving complete alignment with all that you've become and all that you desire, and of bringing your physical experience, everything that you desire, is being in the state of appreciation. Now, we all know that, right? But then it goes on, and this is the part that made me go, uh-oh. And there is no more important object of attention to which you must flow your appreciation than that of self. I'm going to read that again, because I had to. And there is no more important object of attention to which you must flow your appreciation than that of self. How many people here have a gratitude practice? Raise your hands. Yeah, I got it. Most of you guys have a gratitude. I've had a gratitude practice in my life for a long time. True confession. Guess who wasn't on that list? Yeah. I wasn't on that list. So I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this will be easy. I'll just put myself on the list. And so I started coming up with reasons to appreciate myself, right? But then I noticed a really interesting thing started to happen. And I started to play this little game with myself. Anybody want to guess what that game is called? What? Close. Very close. Charles said, but. Yeah, but. Yeah, but. So let me play the little yeah, but game with you guys and see if anybody can relate to this, right? So I'm sitting there going, all right, what do I have to be? How can I appreciate myself? Well, I just ran a marathon. That's pretty cool. I took all the time to train for it and put all that effort in and finally went done. I shared that story with you guys the last time we talked. But then my mind goes, yeah, but Mike, you didn't do what you originally wanted to, which was you wanted to qualify for the Boston Marathon again. What? It's like, yeah, you didn't really hit your goal. But like I had this amazing story and I was able to share it. It was pretty cool. And it's like, yeah, but you really didn't do what you set out to do. You really wanted to qualify again. Well, but wait a minute. I have run 40 marathons. Can I at least give myself credit for that? And it's like, yeah, but you've never broke a 3-hour marathon. And I'm like, wow, man, I'm listening to this, and it's like, it's a real thing, right? And then I'm thinking, okay, let me try something else. How about the fact that you're working almost a full-time job and you're also able to do what I do here at the church? I'm the spiritual leader of this church. Yeah, but you're not an ordained minister. What? And I'm thinking, wow, this is a tough crowd, right? I'm just like, really? And then all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking, okay, all right, I'm going to have to pull out the guns, right? I have to pull out the guns. Let's see. At one point in time, I was running a company that had 80 employees. It was a multi-million-dollar company. I had 80 employees, and I was licensed in the United States, and it was rocking and rolling. There. Yeah, but it crashed and burned in 2008. Whew. Really? Yeah. And the more I came up with, the more that I sat there and said, but how about this? There was always this thing that I never knew that was going on in the background that was, yeah, but. Anybody been there? Yes. Yeah. It was crazy. The fact that, number one, I never even included myself in a gratitude practice. Number two, that I couldn't even do it. Blew my mind. You guys know I've been playing with this stuff a long time. And the fact that I was struggling, trying to come up with anything that I could really just go, what about this, without this yeah, but thing going on, right? And then as a result of it, when you really boil that down, what does it come down to? I'm not enough. I'm not enough. And when I really started to look at this, a lot of you guys know my story. I wasn't brought up in the best environment, right? And it seemed like no matter what I did, it was never good enough, ever. It didn't matter. In fact, it gets to the point sometimes where, you just give up trying, because it's like no matter what you do, it's never good enough. And if it's not good enough, then what does that say to you? I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. And I really started to look at that. And I really started to look at my life, and I really started to think about the impact, this thing that's going on and around in the back of my head of I'm not good enough. What does it cause? Where is that showing up? How has it impacted what I do and how I am? And how does it impact my being that there's this voice that's been going on in the back of my head ever since I was a small child that says you're not enough? And what I realized is there's this incessant thing where I feel like I just always have to be doing more and more and more. I got to read a different book. I got to take a different course. I got to get some more initials next to my name. I've got to be more successful. I've got to be better at this. I've got to be, and it just never, ever stops. Anybody relate to that one? Yeah, it's this crazy thing, right? It's this crazy thing. So I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys. How does that show up for you? What does that look like? Can you get that mic? How does it show up for you? I really want to hear from you guys. Anything coming up? There you go. Jim's back. There we go. Hold on. Wait a second.
I do a gratitude every evening before I go to bed. And one of the things that I started doing, instead of appreciating my whole self, was looking at pieces, parts of me, appreciating my feet, appreciating my hands, and pulling all those pieces, parts together.
Very cool. Thank you, Julie. Anybody else? How does that show up for you? What is the impact of I am not enough?
Times when I was younger and starting out that I didn't even try because I knew I wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to flop. So I would just, not raise my hand. I would not step out. And it's tough to get through that. It took years. And it's still there. It doesn't go away. You just got to push through it.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Gratitude journal that Mike talked about a long time ago, and I've been doing it ever since. But for me, it's just been over the last 7 years, I guess, just trying to come to grips with who I am and what my purpose is here on this earth.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Well, over the last 5 years, I got to a superficial, I am enough on an adult level. But in the past year, it hit me that it does not align with my core values from, when I was little. So that's why I'm working in therapy right now, is to plunk out those old beliefs and replace them with new. I've been reading a lot of near-death experience stories lately, and the aha I came up with just the other day was that the Christ in me is always enough, and if I can focus on that, then I know I will always be enough.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I don't participate in everything I could.
I don't participate in everything I could. Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Charles.
The reason I knew the but is that that's one of the big things they teach in neurolinguistics. You counter-example yourself, thereby destroying everything good that you've done, but it's not enough.
Yeah.
And most of us struggle with not enough. And when we feel that not enough, the trick is to focus on what you've actually done. What have I contributed? What have I done? And it's amazing what that will do to your overall image of yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Charles.
The yeah but story in my life is so strong that I can't accept thanks from anybody else because it gets in the way of my yeah but story.
So your yeah but is louder than a thank you.
Yes, it is.
Anybody there? Yeah, for sure. Anybody else? That's good. Thanks, Ray. I appreciate it. So, as I started thinking about that, Spirit came back to me and said, so, kind of curious, do you think when Sarah was going through the school and she was doing everything, and you kept bugging her and nagging at her to enroll in school, and do you think when she actually started going to school, and do you think now that she's getting ready to graduate, do you think she cared about you not running a 3-hour marathon? Do you think that she cared that you had a business that crashed in 2008? Do you think that she cared that you're not an ordained minister? Do you think she cared? Yeah. Right. And the answer is none of it mattered. None of it. What mattered to her? 2 things mattered to her. Somebody cared. That's what mattered. And that she mattered. And that she mattered. Was I able to do that for her? Even though I didn't realize it. The message that's come through for me loud and clear is that what we're able to do, regardless of anything having to do with our yeah buts or what we did or didn't do, is that, you know what? We can always remind somebody that we care. We can always remind people that they matter. Can't we? Can't we do that? And does it take very much? You know, I go back, and as I was preparing for this, I thought about, well, isn't there somewhere else that we hear about that were pretty impressive? And I came through a couple of quotes in the Bible, and they talked about this, what if there was this idea, what if, Mike, what if you lived your life like you were enough? How would that change? I want you guys just to close your eyes for a minute and just take a deep breath in and just feel, I want you to feel this. Feel what it would be like if you knew at the core of your being that you were enough. Nothing needed to be added. Nothing needed to be changed. You have nothing to prove. You simply are enough. Because of who and what you are. Because of your divinity. Because of that thing inside of you. I want you to feel that for just a moment. Just repeat to yourself, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. And then open your eyes. How'd that feel? Was it different? Maybe a little bit different than we're used to? I know for me when I started thinking about it, I mean literally the energy in my entire being started shifting. And I literally have been practicing now this for about a week and a half or 2 weeks since this message came through. This thing that like no matter what, I'm really enough. I'm okay. That I'm really okay. That I'm enough. That I'm not missing anything. That I'm perfect, I'm whole, I'm complete, just as I stand here. And I don't need anything else to make that happen. And that just by being who and what I am in the present moment, that I can make a difference in people's lives. Little old me, little old Mike, the kid from Detroit, can actually make a difference. Just by showing up. Just by being present. Just by letting people know that I care. And that they matter. It's like, wow, really? And when I went and looked at the Bible, it said, so God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God, he created them. isn't that kind of like enough? I mean, think about it. We're created in the image of God. That's pretty impressive. Last time I checked, that's like as high as you go, right? And we're created in that image. And the only reason we don't believe it, the only reason we don't have the experience of that is why? We don't believe it. And because somewhere along the road, in our road, somebody showed up and told us we weren't. Somebody did. Or some bodies, depending on your environment and the way that you grew up, right? Somebody did. And guess what? We bought it. We bought it. And so we walk around in our lives and we act like we're not created in the image and likeness of God. Who, me? Are you really talking about me like that? And we all do it. Every single one of us, to a certain degree, does that. And the thing that I'm going to challenge you on as you go through this Thanksgiving season is, where in your life is that showing up? Where are you not enough? Where are you not enough? I would bet if I had the time to sit down with everybody in this room, there is some area in our life where we are not enough. Yes? Yes. Every single one of us. And so one of the things I challenge you on is to pay attention. Look, that book, this thing called Our God, which all of us are connected to, and all of us are experiencing in our own different way, is sitting there saying, like, hey, you're in good company. You came from a good bloodline, like the best. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter what your past. It doesn't matter what your history. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. None of it matters. None of it matters. It doesn't. Why? Because you're created in the image and likeness of God. You are limitless in what you're able to do. You're limitless in the impact that you can make with those people that are around you. You don't have to be doing this. You don't have to get up in front of talking to people. You can make a tremendous impact with simple words. You're important to me. You matter. Thank you for being in my life. Those are really powerful words, really powerful. And they can make a difference. In Ephesians, God said, I forget who quoted it, but we are God's handiwork, created to do good works, which God prepared us to do. Think about that. What does that mean? It means that we're prepared to do whatever it is that we need to do in terms of getting this message out. In terms of doing it in your own little way. And we all have a different way of doing it, right? It all looks different. But it doesn't mean that it's greater than or less than. It means nothing. Something so simple as stopping and either telling somebody that they matter or they make a difference, or something so simple as smelling a flower. Whatever it is. Just to be acknowledged. Just to stop for a minute and acknowledge people and say, I see you. Leah's always coming up to me. It cracks me up, and she'll look me right in the eye and she'll go, I see you. I see you. And it's like all of a sudden I realize, like, there's kind of like a part of me that's like, whoa, right? When she does it. But it's so beautiful to me because it's like, look, we get caught up in our own little world, and I'm actually going to take a moment just to tell you that I notice what's going on with you. I see you. To me, that's beautiful. And that's precious, to actually share that moment, to let somebody know you're seen. I see you. You are enough. You're enough. And so my hope and prayer as we go throughout this Thanksgiving season is that as we're giving thanks for truly all the blessings we have in our lives. I mean, we live in one of the greatest countries in the greatest time and have the greatest gifts of more than most. And I think sometimes we get so focused on what it is that we don't have that we forget what we do have. And my hope is that when you spend your time with your families and your loved ones this Thanksgiving season, that you can take a few moments and start to appreciate you. And take away the yeah but game. Look, life isn't always fun. Life can be very, very difficult. We are all trying to do the best that we can, aren't we? I mean, when it comes right down to it, aren't we all trying to do the best that we can do? Yeah. I don't care what that looks like for you. You're doing the best that you can do. We came down here as these brilliant lights, and we come down into this lower vibration, and it's hard to figure that out. It is. It's not easy being down here. And we're all doing the best that we can. You are enough. And by just taking a few moments this holiday season as it begins, and just telling people you matter, can be so powerful. Jerry and Kathy, you know what? I am so grateful that you guys are in my life. You really matter to me. You do. On a very deep level. Thank you for being in my life. Thank you. Bill and Kathy Perkins, you guys, what you do around this church, I see you. I'm sorry, Karen. I do see you, Karen. Thank you for all that you do. You matter. You're important to me. You make a difference. Tom, you come here, you get engaged with conversations. I see you talking downstairs, and you don't realize it, but I know you. I see you down there, and I'm grateful to have you here. And I just want you to know you make a difference. You make a difference, and I really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you. Ray Cox. Amazing. Simply amazing. The amount of time that you put into this church over the years, there is no possible way for me to say thank you enough. You matter. And I'm grateful. Thank you. And to everybody else out there, I just want you to know a couple things. You all have touched my life. Every single one of you. I don't care how much I may have not talked to you. There's not one person in here that has walked through those doors. You haven't impacted me. You have. And I just want you to know that. I want you to know that you're enough. I want you to know that you've made a difference in my life. You have. Every single one of you. You have. I want you to know how important you are to me. You're important to this community. And you're important. You are. You matter to me. You do. You matter to me. And you know what? I'm really happy you're in my life. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't. And so my thinking is, how cool would it be is if maybe over the next couple of weeks, you take those thoughts and you put them on your mirror, and before you start every day, you look at yourself and tell yourself the exact same thing. Think about that one. You guys matter. You do. No yeah buts. Get rid of the yeah buts. And then go share that with your friends and your family. Let them know. And you know, if you do that, none of it's going to matter. The only thing that matters is that you let somebody know that you care and that they're important. And isn't that really what it's all about? Really? Yeah. Cool. You guys have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Don't get too stuffed. And get excited for the holiday season that's upon us. We got a lot of great things that are going to be going on over the next couple of weeks. Can we get a printout of that? Yeah, I'll make that happen. Thank you to each and every one of you. And God bless.